Hi, today I have Jane with me. She's currently working as a lab coordinator in nanotechnology research lab in the chemistry department of CBU. She's also the co-president at Chemistry Society at Cape-Breton University Student Union. She's someone that I really admire for how talented and working really well in management and leader. And today I'm gonna interview her to ask her a little bit more about her work and also get her to share some of her experience with communications at her workplace and more about it. So hi Jane.
Hi.
So would you mind introducing yourself a little bit, please?
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Jane, and I'm a third year's international student at CBU. My major is chemistry, and my part-time job is working as a research assistant and also the lab coordinator of the nanotechnology research lab. We're in chemistry department with Professor Shine Zhang and Ken Oaks. And on the side, I am the co-president of the Chemistry Society at CBU Student Union.
So it seems like you're having the role in the management team of your lab as well as your society. So can you tell me a little bit more about like some of the factors that usually you apply into your work, into your role to make the team work smoothly?
Okay, thank you for your questions. That's a really good questions. I think that the essential factors that can improve work in a manager perspective is you have as a manager you have to understand your staff. You have to know their skills and what they're good at, so you can assign the corresponding responsible for them. Furthermore, after every job that gets done, you need to have word of appreciations. No matter whether that job is good or not, you need to recognize that they did put a lot of effort in to submit that job. So as long as you have the word of appreciations, that will encourage them to do more effective work after every single task.
Well, that's really thoughtful. So, as you mentioned, that you usually try to understand your staff, your employees better, or your teammates. So, how do you communicate with your other employees or your co-worker? Like, so what are some of the method that you use to communicate with them?
Okay, I will answer these questions based on my personal experience. So in my particular research lab, everyone have their own projects of what they need to do research on, but we have a weekly meetings, and in that meeting, each persons will have a PowerPoint to show their work, and they present general idea about their work and also what they did in the past week. So in this, other people can give input in the result discussions, and I think this is a really good way to communicate because it's up to date. Every teammate, what each person's do, so everyone aware of the role of each person's, and also if someone gets stuck, then other people can give input in the discussion part. Similarly, in my chemistry society executive meeting, we will have the board meeting, and everyone will give input of the ideas for like what event that we wanna do, and then like we can ask around like what do you think this gonna happen, and we try to be very organized. We have the meeting way before the actual event of the day that we're gonna do, so we have a lot of preparation time, and we just make sure that communication is really clear so everyone is okay with it.
Right. So, besides all the weekly meeting, did you say weekly or bi-weekly?
It's weekly.
It's weekly. Okay, sorry about that. So for your weekly meeting, how would you communicate? Like, how would you send that message out to every teammates to know, be aware of that meeting? It's happening soon.
So usually my weekly, so because it's weekly, so there's a set fixed schedule. So by that time, everyone will just, for example, our weekly meeting is on Friday at 2:30. So at that time, everyone is already known that they have that meeting, and they make sure that they clear the schedule for that meeting because it's fixed. It's not just something random that pop up. And of course, like with COVID, we send the meeting out by team notifications, and they set it up on calendars. So they also give notifications for them when the meeting is getting close to start.
Thank you, Jane. I think that's a very effective way to give everyone the notifications to be aware. And I think many of us are doing the same thing during this time as COVID. So as you mentioned that you were in where everyone's in the lab would have different research, different projects to do. Do you have a teammate or anyone's working with you in that same project?
So as a student, and this is just my part-time job, I did collab with someone on a project, and I guess you would want to know how we communicate as two people. So
Awesome, yeah.
we usually email what we gonna do to notify each person's, like, especially that the other persons will be aware of when is the time that I'm available, that I can come in and collab with them, because the other persons is full time. So we have the fixed schedule of when I will come in, and before that, the time that I come in, he will let me know what are we gonna do that day, so I can prepare for that sections. So as long as two people know how to communicate, and especially through COVID, email or phone call is the best. I think that like good communication and me being aware of what my responsibility to do that day is really good.
Okay, thank you so much. So, was there any time that when you're working in the lab or working with your society, was there any miscommunication that happened?
I think some significant miscommunications issues that I have facing lately is there's a time during a meeting someone have problems with internet connections, so they miss almost half of the meeting, and when they come back is the time that the meeting is almost ending, and this is not their fault, it's just the technology issues. But because the delivery method is through internet, and also because of the circumstance that we have COVID, that person is miscommunicate, like they miss the part, and maybe that part is really important. So the way that we fix this is we actually have the secretary in every meeting to have the minutes of the meeting. So we make sure that like we have the full details of the meeting and send it to that person at the end of the meeting, and also follow up if she have any questions to answer about the meeting.
Awesome, that's a really good way. So, was there any other miscommunication that happened? According to if you're working with other students, which I know CBU is a school, like a university, that we have a huge amount of international students. So, do you get to work with other students from different culture?
Yeah, I did have some experience working with other international students.
So, can you share with us a little bit more? Like, who did you work with, and was there any misunderstanding between you guys through communication or anything like that?
So in my lab, there is some international students, employees in the lab, and at first, honestly, they would have a strong accent that you would need some time to adapt and understand. So I would just be kindly and politely ask them to repeat again so I can listen to it more and understand it more. but these communications, it can improve really well because once you work with that person for a while, you get used to their accents and you can understand them finally.
I see. So was there any time that because of the different backgrounds from different culture, was there any issue that show up that you guys don't understand each other? Like if he mentioned something else or he or she mentioned something else and then you understand it differently. So the answer um it's not the one that they're wanting.
I think in my personal experience, this happened in some weekly meetings that different people from different university or background, they would have different style of present. Some people would focus on the theory more. Some people would focus on the result or like just the graphics part. And these can be a little bit hard to understand, like you don't know whether that project's what is their focus on. So one way to fix this is our professor actually have an outline of what to focus on, like what is important for a presentations, and to make it very coherent and unique, and but not too different that each person's presentation confuse the audience.
Right. That's a really good way to deal with it. Thank you. And that's some communication, some miscommunication that usually happen too. I can be related to that. So, do you think miscommunication is something bad that we always should avoid?
I think mistakes and miscommunications is happen for reasons. It's a really good way for people to learn from that, and especially for someone that have management responsibility. I think miscommunications is unavoidable, and the more that happens, that person will have more experience and they will know really well on how to deal with it.
So, um, how do you feel about communication? Like, how would communication means to you when you're in this role, trying to understand people, try to adapt to everyone's, and make it a better team? So, how do you think about communication in your work?
I think managing is a lot of responsibility because you really do need to understand everyone, and because you are the role model. So if you do something wrong, people will really remember it and maybe act upon it. So communications is really the key to just being better in workplace or in also social life, because you need to make sure that the task you are giving to every staff is clear, everyone understand it, because if they don't understand it they would not be able to complete it. And also not only communications during work, but intercommunications between people to people is also really important, because we're not robots. We still have emotions, and that emotions can affect directly to work too.
For sure, definitely. So as you said, um, there's also emotional associated in work, and it's important to understand the employees, what they feel, how they think. So how would you use communication to learn that perspective from your employee?
So I would try to get to know the persons more, because I know that different cultures and different backgrounds and everyone have their own stories. So I would like to know them more. And one way to do it is just ask, just have small talk during lunch break, or just go grab a cup of coffee together. And um actually last two summer, like 2 years ago, in the summer, our research group actually have a hiking together, and we bond together really well after that. And I think that's a really effective way to improve your work environment.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really nice way that you did it. So, do you think that by building that connection with that employee, do you think they would more likely to stay? Like, did any of your lab workers stay longer in that lab to continue working because they feel there's relationship there, or any of your employee like coworker in your society keep staying in that society through their whole university life because they feel like they love being there, because that you have a good bonding of communicate.
I think for in the chemistry society, of course, the saying factors is we have a bonding, and I'm actually really proud of the chemistry society because we even though we are a really small society compared to other society in student union, like for example like the women's center, because I know that chemistry is really specific and some people have love or hate relationship with chemistry. So but generally, because we have a small group, our communications is way better. We bond together way closer than other uh, society, I would say. That would be really friendly to say. But our events is easier to organize because it's smaller, and so the events would be really easy to organize. Like we could go bowling together, we can go Friday night together, and those activities, it might seem small, but through these activities, any time that you spend with other people, that's quality, that's bonding time, and that's really brings everyone closer together. And it's just a really good way to de-stress from work, and I think that's really helped. That's the reason why someone would join a society besides schoolwork.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's many it's a method that many people using to apply to give the employee the commitment at their workplace. Thank you so much for your answers and some insights of your own stories. I really appreciate your time and effort. And was there something else you would want to share with us about communication at your workplace?
Okay, thank you so much for having me today. I think that the last thing I would say about communications is I think communication is really important because it's really help people know each other and people work effectively, and we're not wasting time or any resources, and also it's just gonna solve any conflicts that we have. So it's just really important and we should pay more attention to that.